order. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That sounded awesome. A reminder to take sound your phones and any electronic devices you may have. I see you get a guilty one when it comes to that.
Thanks for reminding me.
Okay. Appreciate the city being here and joining us, the county counterparts in this meeting tonight. Obviously, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss our financial situation. It's not good for either the city or the county, and just wanted to prompt some discussion, see what our thoughts are, maybe where we proceed after this meeting. Throw out some things that Frank and myself and Dale have looked into, and Shirley, and various meetings that we've been attended, and just kind of see what everybody's thoughts are on public safety tax and the other options that we may have. The purpose of this meeting is not to put into effect any kind of a public safety tax, it's just clearly or simply just to share information amongst one another, what we know, and what we want to do afterwards, and go on from there. Frank and I have had discussions with Jason Selmer. You see Jason Selmer on the agenda. He's not going to be here. It's simply just to convey what we've discussed with him through emails that I've exchanged back and forth over the past couple of days with him. Shirley, the meeting, we can't talk about really the committee that Shirley was a part of that we talked at the last meeting 6 months ago. But Shirley would like to set up a date for that. It would probably coincide if we decided to pursue this any further, that we probably would meet again in a month anyways with the city council, county council, and Glenwood, if that was everybody's desire to continue forth. So Shirley, I'm going to turn to you for a minute to talk about what you want to accomplish in a month.
Well, I think that obviously the purpose for the meeting tonight is to talk about the financial situation and potential that we can do to help alleviate that. But the subcommittee that formed based on our January meeting, Connie, Tim, Tim Barrett, and myself have been meeting also as a subcommittee with Women's Voices. And so I think we wanted to have an opportunity to let you know what we've done and some of the things that we have determined and where we go from here. And then also in addition, we wanted to set a situation for a presentation by Linda Fitzgerald with the Women's Voices for our next step. We had the Fayette County Conversations yesterday evening, and I think that was recorded on Channel 3. A lot of good things. I think 27 different presenters about what's going on. Some of them having directly to do with Women's Voices, and others just the day in, day out projects that they're working on or part of their business, the Chamber, the EDG, and many others. So would like to have some of your time, and that, not knowing whether this was going to be the next meeting in addition to the tax situation. So we would like to get on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. As I said, I think if everybody's in agreement, maybe we schedule a month out, the third Wednesday of July, if it works on the calendar, to further discuss what we come up with tonight, whatever course of action we decide. Within your packets, this is information. Now the county officials, you received some information last night from me as far as the email from Senator Lysian on the public safety tax and some of the not necessarily what it can be used for, but just some of the verbiage and dates and whatnot. The unfortunate thing with this public safety tax is nobody seems to really fully 100% understand it. Talking to the state, Senator Lysian, really nobody understands that the gentleman that wrote the bill, it's kind of deviated from what it originally was, and he's not even sure what it is. So, unfortunately, the state has put us, the city and the county, in a bad situation when it comes to our finances with the circuit breaker caps and so forth. But they've graciously allowed us to incorporate other taxes so we become the bad guys to the city and the county, if that's what we so choose to do. We have to do something to try and help ourselves out. We don't have many options. We, of course, know we have very limited revenue coming into the city and the county taxes. So we have to do something. I think the city and the county has done as much as they can. I can speak for the county. I can't speak necessarily for the city, but I would assume it's the same case. I know through our budget hearings, we've trimmed about as much fat out as we can and cut as far as we can cut. And we're really left with very little options other than reducing services or reducing people, either which I don't think any of us want to do. And as I mentioned last night, I started down by Councilman Flom, went all the way down to Councilman Bishop. I don't think any one of us would want to raise taxes or are really in favor of that. But we may not have a choice in the matter because we're struggling financially. So, as I alluded to in the packet, there's one letter in here from Jason Semler and myself back in September of this past year, 2015, where he kind of breaks it down as to if we were to have passed the public safety tax last year, what revenue would have generated. And it would have generated $855,495 in total. After that was split up, the county would receive $417,488. City of Connersville would receive $437.71. And Glenwood would receive $936. That's based upon the population for the city and the county, and it's divided, accordingly. The city gets 55%, and the rest is split between Glenwood and the county. Now, I talked to him today, and as did Commissioner Jackson, separate phone calls. He said the numbers really wouldn't change. The numbers haven't changed a whole lot from last year to where we are now, so the numbers would still be pretty close to the same. He did share that with the new tax law, or taxes, things have changed with the LIT and the LOIT and the COIT and all that stuff being combined, that will change, and we could actually increase the percentage. Right now, I think we're at 1%, Dale, for that?
You mean our current
Current.
local option income
Yeah.
tax? Our current rate is 2.37%.
Okay, he said we can go to 2.5 after the new one goes into effect. He said something about it being at 1%. I don't know if he talked to you on the phone about that.
Yeah, I did, but
All the acronyms that have been thrown around.
I was under the impression that the maximum limit currently was 3.5%.
We might be talking about something different than that. I'm not sure what he was.
I'd really rather him explain it so I don't misquote him. Having said that, the current statute today, which changes July 1st, we have a separate, all these taxes are separate. Howard, COIT, CEDA, LOIT, all these taxes are going to be combined under one. As it exists right now, in public safety taxes under the existing COIT tax, that can be enacted separately with a maximum rate of 0.0025, I think it is. Or after July 1st, the entire, at that time, will be former COIT statute can be maxed out at 0.0025. So we can enact a public safety tax sometime before July 1st, if that's what the bodies choose, okay? And if it's done before August 31st, if I remember correctly, we can start collecting October 1st, am I correct? October 1st, okay.
And the recommendations are not to do anything until after July 1st. So we should hold off until after July 1st and enact any new ordinances or anything pertaining to that, because we would benefit more from that than if we did before that. So that was kind of the gist of that. And then the other that the city has is a letter from Senator Lysing kind of talking about dates and so forth and so on. That's, I do have further discussions to follow up with Senator Lysing and her aide Alex, forgot his name, to discuss this further as to what can and can't be done and used for it, can't use for it. As far as my understanding of public safety tax, what it can be used for is for salaries, expenditures pertaining to public safety, communications, vehicles, things of that nature, things that maybe we're taking out of our general fund to pay for right now, we could recoup that, put that back into our general fund, and use our public safety tax to fund those kinds of things. I in no way am in favor of it being used for raises or other things that are not necessarily for public safety. I would be an advocate towards specifically being public safety for the things that would help our general funds. That would be, that's my personal perspective. And I'm curious to hear what each of you think that the council, the race council, and what the mayor thinks as well too. With that, I'll open it up to anybody that wants to have their input. So I'll jump up at once.
Okay, I got a question. This might be directed to you, John Baker. According to this thing from Jason, it says here that for this tax to be adopted, the city council has to approve it because they're 55 of the 100%, for the 100 votes. So basically, it falls in the lap of city council. Right at this point, huh?
Correct.
Okay. So now, that vote, does that have to be a unanimous vote within that council?
That's
or
what we hear.
do you know, John?
I've looked several places to find the answer to that, and I haven't seen it addressed. It just says there are 3 members, and the member that has the most weight is the city, and the city, if it passes a resolution to send request the auditor to publish notice for a hearing on the adoption of the public safety tax, which is a 10-day notice. That then means that the vote of the city element of the county, city option, the city income tax council has been voted, that is, voted in the affirmative. I found nothing that says that the city's vote has to be the majority of the city council.
Nor passive.
It says the city has to send a resolution, and we all know a resolution can pass by a simple majority of the city council, 4 votes.
Which, Dale, you said Union County was that same way, correct?
Union County is a Cadgett County, and I think at the time they passed their tax, the rules were a little bit different for Cadgett County versus a Lowell County, which we are. Why the legislature does the things they do, I don't know. It didn't make any sense to them either. In fact, they said they had to actually vote on it twice. They voted to approve it the first time, and then they had to vote again to approve it again to satisfy the statute. I can't explain.
Did it require 2 readings, is that your thing?
Yeah, you could, yes, I would assume that would qualify as 2 readings,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have 2 readings.
So yeah, Mark, you're correct. The city would have to get the ball in motion if that were the desire of both the county and the city. You know, again, that's really the purpose of us being together here is, again, not to vote on it, but to get people thinking about what's in the best interest of the city residents and the county residents and what we have to do. Like I said, you know, our county is struggling financially. I'm not talking about the county government, I'm talking about the whole, individuals, people. And I don't think it's anybody's desire to try and put more of a burden on anybody, but, you know, the city and the state has not helped us, and we've been to these highway meetings, and I've talked to senators there from Randolph County, and they're doing great. The state's doing great. Their coffers are full. They're doing great. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's killing us. And we're not left with a whole lot of options and not a lot of popular options. So we have to do something to help ourselves. We're going to sink or we're going to swim.
Well, what I don't understand is how come you can't use it for salaries, because that's where most of your cost is in the salaries.
I believe you can.
You can.
Yeah.
You can use it for
I mean, we were talking about, we didn't want to put it in salaries.
No, I was saying
Raises.
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 I was saying raises or perks.
Yes, right.
I mean, the things that anything that will help our general fund, that'll alleviate the stress on our general fund, I'm in favor of, but not
Okay.
raises.
Well, the city council, you're the governing body on this. What are your thoughts?
Well, as I see it right now, there's a couple things that we have going on. We got contracts still in the works. I don't think we can really make any decision until those contracts are decided. Also, I think there's probably more work to be done on the expense side of the ledger before we can worry about the income side, from what I've seen. So I think we need to do more work there before we really look at in terms of the city, and then increasing the tax. Now, I know that doesn't solve the county's problem, but from our perspective, that's what I see. No,
So you feel like there's more fat you can trim from your budget, is that what you're saying?
I think there's more work to be done there. I wouldn't say fat, but we're looking at redoing some contracts and working within some contract things that hopefully will free up capital in the long term.
Okay. Anybody else from council, city?
Just to Gabe's point, he's talking about freeing up capital. If we're able to do that in these contract negotiations, you're looking at probably 5 years down the road. I mean, it's not just going to happen overnight with what we're trying to accomplish. And my best opinion would be, I mean, I've lived in this city since 1969, and I've been through the ups and downs. And with the shape we're in now, if we start talking about raising taxes, I'm afraid we're going to have a riot on our hands, really. Because that's the last, and I understand the shape we're all in this together, but drive through the city and look at the paper. How many sheriff's sales is in the paper a day? And it just keeps going on and on. And I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did.
Well, I'll speak for myself, okay? And I'll quote statistics given in our joint meeting last night. In 2010, roughly, our general fund, the county's general fund, started out with 2.4 million.
Lower 2.6.
Over 2.6. This year it was 400,000. And here's our problem. The state fixed by constitutional
You're right.
amendment, which takes an act of God and 2 or 3 successive legislatures to undo the property tax. The problem is that they didn't do anything, they didn't fix anything about rising costs. So the costs keep rising, and we're going to hit that ceiling. Physics tell us that 2 bodies can't occupy the same place at the same time. So, it's just bluntly put, okay, we can't save ourselves out of this. We can't nickel and dime ourselves out of this situation because what we need are dollars.
One thing that might help, and we don't know where it's at yet, is the thing we've done with the EMS.
Well,
That-
the mayor's gonna speak to that.
Well, we don't have a report yet on that one.
No,
That's
we
supposed
don't.
to,
No,
that's supposed to come in
I
July.
told, see, did I tell you it's gonna be July, we're gonna have a joint meeting July 11th? I think that's what he's talking about.
And
So we're not figuring from there.
I really hope that that's gonna show some positive things, and maybe that will free up some capital.
That'll free up some, but I think that's gonna be a drop in the bucket. I mean, Dale, we don't have much, we bailed the water out of that life raft for about as much as we can. I don't, honestly, I mean, we've sat there, we've sat there, I mean, everybody in the county council, we've sat there, gone over where can we save $100,000? Where can we go with $50,000? We've gone over it hours, days and days. We gotta, we can't do it.
It's gone.
There's just nowhere else to cut anymore. So we've cut everything. So the highway is funded, is healthy. That doesn't help our general fund. 911 doesn't help our general fund. Community corrections doesn't help our general fund. They're all sustained, being taken care of for the most part. It's the other things, what keeps this courthouse open, the lights on, people working. And we can't afford to lose people. Can't afford to lose services. We can't. And frankly, we didn't do last night. We are mandated to keep certain offices open. Can't do it. So we're in a heck of a spot. So if you, Frank, you're talking, or Mike, you're talking 5 years from now that you might see the return on that. I'm afraid it's gonna be too late for us.
Well, you're gonna see progress, hopefully, you're gonna see progress each year. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not gonna be, I mean, it's gonna take time to build this thing up if we get these contracts signed and get them to go the way we're suggesting, because we're trying to save money with the money that we've got. I don't know how to put it any better. And we're still negotiating, and it's, I don't know where we're at with it right now. We just got one note that one has been signed, and the rest of them are still to deal with, so.
The problem,
And I mean, what you're doing is gonna help the city. It's not helping the county at all,
I
period.
understand that.
And we're just, like Mike said, we're to the point that the only thing we can do is cut services. I don't see anything else we can do.
the problem is that, I understand what you and Gabe are saying, but, and I used this analogy to Harold the other day. We're in this together. There is no county versus city or city versus county. What affects one of us affects the other. And I don't understand, I just can't, I'm truly concerned. There isn't anybody sitting here who wants to raise anybody's taxes. There isn't a single person here that wants to do that. But, and I use this example time and time again, when you're first married and you got more month at the end of the money than money at the end of the month, you learn quickly that you cut expenditures, you increase your income, or you do a combination of the two. We can't cut expenditures anymore. We've got overloaded law enforcement personnel, overloaded dispatchers and everything now, and we don't have the income. We've already borrowed $1.5 million from ourselves since the beginning of the year. You can't keep compromising the budgets of certain departments that you borrow from, or certain budgets that you borrow from, and have a cash flow problem like that. Because you're basically just denying any expenditure from that until it's repaid at tax time.
See, if we pass this tax, it's not like, to me, it's not like we're really charging people. People got to realize how many people in this here have gotten a property tax break because of this cap. A lot of you have. And I know on my farm ground it's gone up, but my house is gone down. So a lot of you have saved money. So you got more money in your pocket, but the county is really hurting.
I forgot who brought up last night was $2,500 who about that. Was it you, Leota?
Yes,
Do you want to speak to that?
we attended a meeting yesterday with a Purdue specialist, Larry DeBoer, who was hired by Purdue strictly to talk about property taxes and to teach the community about property taxes. How many of you were at that meeting yesterday? Dave was? Okay. He brought up the statement that we all got with our tax bills. And when I got mine, I didn't understand anything that it had on it and what the credits were and what they were talking about. But he explained all of it. And he discussed a $75,000 and $150,000 house that would be in Columbia Township. And he used their tax rate. And he took another example, was a $75,000 house and a $150,000 house in Fayette County, or in Connersville City, Connersville City and Connersville Township. And the difference in their tax rates. Well, the people that lived in Columbia Township had no change, and they didn't have to pay any extra or anything because they were under the tax caps. But the guy that had the $150,000 house in Fayette County, or in Connersville, which has a $5 and something cent tax rate, his taxes at the end of the day were like $2,550. But he had a tax break. He'd already had part of his LOA had come off of that and cut down his amount of taxes. So at the end of the day, he only had to pay $1,500 because he took another something off because he was above the tax, took the 1% off, the $1,500. So he did not pay $5 and something per 100. And most people don't. And when you look at that form that you got with your tax thing, you'll see that you did not pay nearly as much as you thought, because if you take the rate times what the value of your property is, at the end of the day, you have not paid as much. I looked at my tax statement when it came, and my house was lower and it cost less money, and I had no idea why. The tax, but I didn't argue with them. I took it over and was tickled to death that I didn't have to pay as much as I did last year. But a lot of people are getting these tax breaks. So what they pay on the local income tax, which is what it's going to be called instead of seed it and catch it and edit and whatever all the other things are, it'll just be local income tax after the 1st of July. So part of that comes back to you and comes off of your property tax rate. So you're not increasing unless you're up in a higher level bracket. So basically, they're not even paying the property tax rate that they're being charged. They're not paying $5.50 or whatever it is, $5.37 or some rate for Connersville City. I live outside the city limits, so my rate's not quite that much, but I do live in Connersville Township, which is one of the higher townships. But you don't pay that amount of money. And 1/4% difference in our income, and I'm grateful that we have income. One of the big problems with Fayette County, and that includes the city, is that our average assessed value is $29,900 for those people that are paying on properties. And we have the lowest of the counties that they represented yesterday. And I told Kathy, I said, well, Kathy Rose was there, our assessor, and I said, what you need to do is just go out and up everybody's assessment. And she said, well, they don't let us do that, Leota. So we can't up everybody's value of their property. We can't go and say, okay, your house is now worth $70,000 instead of $60,000, or it's worth $40,000 instead of $29,000. So the only thing you can do is to tax the income. And the 1/4% is such a small amount that if I can keep our county from going under, I'm all for voting for a tax raise. And like Frank, none of us want to increase anybody's taxes. But when I saw how much money they were getting back off that, I thought, you really are not hitting people near as hard as they think.
And the thing is that they put us, the state has put us in such a bad position. They've said, here's something that can help you. And if you choose not to take it, then hey, it's your problem. They put the circuit breaker caps in place. And like Frank said, it's going to take an act of God, 2 successive legislative sessions to get it removed because it's in the Constitution of Indiana. They've given us these tools, and they're going to say, well, hey, if you guys aren't ready to bail yourselves out, then deal with the consequences. And that's kind of where we're at.
I got something to say. You got a lot of people driving from 40 to 120 miles round trip, making $10 an hour. I got a neighbor, he drives about 60 miles round trip, he makes $10 an hour. How much can he afford? How much more taxes can he afford? I mean, he's not making any money now. You gotta look out for these people too.
We think we are.
How are you looking out for them? I mean,
You've got to keep the doors open, Jim. We're not trying to hurt anybody.
Yeah, but
nobody wants to hurt anybody.
if this what this money gonna cost him, he's not gonna be able to afford to live like he should.
1/4%?
Huh?
1/4%?
How much is a 1/4% on $10 an hour for a month?
Not that much.
$5, $6, $10?
Well,
A gallon of gas, 2 gallons of gas, a lot of money to all these people. They're working for $10 an
I know
hour,
that.
driving back and forth.
I understand that. But if you've got better, this is about solutions and answers. If you've got better suggestions, go ahead. If you want to cut services, you want to cut people, because that's the only option you've got. You can't have it both ways.
This is not fair tax. The person that's not making good money,
No taxes are necessarily fair to anybody. I mean, I'm sure all of you would like to not pay taxes.
Jim, that would consist of $10 an hour is 2.5 cents.
an hour,
Yeah.
and that would be how much?
Well, I didn't take.
40 hours,
It's 2.5, 2.5 cents.
2,080 hours a year for 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but $1,500 is a lot of money to a guy making $10 an hour.
It's not
Huh?
It's $1 a week.
$1 a week, we got
If he
50,
if he works 40 hours, he makes $10 an hour. A quarter of a percent is $1 a week.
that's, that's $4 a month, about $50 a year. That's a lot of money, to a lot of people.
Well, let me ask you this, then,
It's $1,
$1 a week,
$1 a week.
what's the alternative?
I don't know.
Well,
I'd rather see a fairer tax that the people that's making the money pay more and the person not making enough money pays less.
we don't have that option.
That'd be fair.
We don't have the option to, if you're not talking about an income tax, you're talking about a property tax. We don't have the option to increase property tax. Income tax through public safety tax, the last legislator, that's what Mike is referring to, if I can interject and put words in your mouth. The last legislature allowed counties to double their wheel tax, double their excise tax, allowed cities of 10,000 or more to institute their own wheel tax and their own excise tax. But they put these caps in place, as I said a while ago, they put these caps in place that no, you can only increase your income by 1%, if I remember correct, okay? But we'll let you pass all these additional tax burdens on your citizens, and then you'll take the heat for it.
It's not fair.
We don't have the option of increasing property taxes. The only
I understand that.
option,
It's not-
the only option, and I'm sorry, I'm not being upset with you,
Yeah.
I'm kind of upset about this whole situation, I'm kind of
The
passionate
problem
about
is
it.
in Indianapolis.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
but we're not, you're exactly right.
We're gonna have
We
exempt
are
lane
not,
for them.
we are not going to fix Indianapolis, at least not in this situation.
One of the things, excuse me, one of the things I asked Senator yesterday was, why do you impose things on us with the tax caps and all that? What does the state do with it? When you impose something like this on us, what did you do to the state? Did you put all those same restrictions on you like you did us?
No.
The answer was no.
No, they got, they're.
So so there you go. What do you do? We don't have, matter of fact, I think the paper I read, Leota, too, that the 2%ers, they're already maxed out. So you're not gonna get any more taxes off the 2%ers. And the 3%ers, which was industry, it was already almost maxed out. So there's not gonna be any new income from them. And what income that goes above that tax credit, we're gonna lose.
Legislation proposed 2 years ago would have eliminated the personal property tax. The auditor at that time figured up that would have cut $2 million from our budget. I mean, I guess proportionately, the bigger counties, Marion, Vandenberg, Allen, have proportionately larger responsibilities, but they also have proportionally bigger income. And I can only assume they could absorb that much more easily than we can. Thank God that didn't pass. But again, we don't have the income coming in to support what we're doing now. So we either cut services, employees, or we get more money. I mean, if I'm wrong, then please tell me how I'm wrong and what we need to do, how we're looking at it wrong, and what we need to do, what solutions do we need to fix it?
Frank, Mike, let me ask this. If I understand correctly, a safety tax could not even be implemented for the county, which of course Connersville is part of, the county or Glenwood, unless the city entity passes it first.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
That's correct.
Can the city pass such a tax, yet never impose it, so it opens the way for the county and Glenwood? Can we go through those motions but not actually put it into place?
You need to talk to him. 'cause I
Okay,
can't
John.
answer that question.
Or put it or make the tax so low it's practically nil, burden on anyone?
There is a maximum, there is a minimum and a maximum rate.
Okay.
If I'm understanding correctly.
One thing I think that, as we look at it from the city's perspective, we don't know the county's budget. We don't know those things. So from our perspective, we have some things that we can do to eliminate some expenses. From your guys' perspective, you guys have been through that. We're just behind. So I think the thing that we would need to make educated decisions would be to see the budgets for the county. We don't have those. I know I've never studied it. I don't know
Gateway.
whether county
It's all available on Gateway.
on Gateway. So I mean, we've never studied those. That's never been something that's been in our purview. So we know we've studied those other things. So I think if we were to have time to study those and be educated on those, then we can make an educated decision.
And we took our food bill for the jail from over 200, almost, what was the jail last year? $220,000 last year to just, what, over 100?
Well, I know you guys
Yeah,
are making some
just
serious
a little
cuts,
bit.
and we've
Yeah.
seen that in the newspaper and things, but we don't see it. It's not like when we say the city's budget, and things like that, we have an understanding of those.
You don't apply it to
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
process.
Exactly. We do our portion, so like when from our perspective, we say, we got some work to do, that's because that's what we know. It's nothing against the county, so I want to make sure we know that.
Yeah, but then too, you need to increase your amount of revenue as much as get rid of some of your expenses. It helps you bring everything together a lot faster.
Mike, you had some?
I just have a question. Frank, did you say earlier that the county has had a deficit of over $1 million now?
No, we borrowed from ourselves, from Bridge Cume Cap, advanced tax draws, 1.5 million. Okay, now those are paid.
So basically, those have to be paid back.
They have
Yes.
to, by law, they have to be paid back at the end of the year. We paid all or some of it at tax draw, just the other day. Am I correct, Jane? Okay. So
Do you have a breakdown of what?
So what happens is we borrowed $325 from Bridge Cume, if I remember right, okay? So for the 6 months that, or 5 months, whatever, that, depending on when you borrowed it, okay? There's a cash flow problem. He can't commit to or pay anything that comes due within that time if it's over and above the amount he's got left after what we borrowed. So last year, what we did, we paid it back in June, and then borrowed a certain amount, and I can't give you figures, again, at the end of the year, and pay it at the end of the year tax draw. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and that only gets you so far.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes,
Thank you.
some of you city members, council members, the county's gonna take a huge hit in another year on farm tax, property taxes, which is gonna go down big time.
The projection, Mark, is we were sent figures earlier in the year. In 18 or 19, I think it was 19, it shows that Fayette County will lose almost $700,000.
Why is that?
Well, and I simplify this because it's the way my mind understands it. Let's say before the new AV law for farmland, let's say the county was receiving number 5. Okay, in 2 years, had there not been a law change, they would have received a number 9. When the law change came in, that veered the direction off and leveled it off at a 7. So the difference between 7 and 9 comes out to about $658,000 or $68,000 that we will not get in 2 years that we would have gotten had the law not changed. Now, to put that in perspective, Allen County is only going to lose a little over $1 million. The reason? Because they don't have the farmland we do. It's good for the farmers. And actually, I saw a bumper sticker years ago that said, "Don't complain about farmers with your mouth full."
Amen.
Okay, they provide an absolutely essential service. Nevertheless, they're getting a lower tax burden, and that's okay, except that it's taking money away from our coffers. The whole tax structure in this place, in this country, and in this state is a hodgepodge. It's a reaction to this, a reaction to that. There's no overall structured, comprehensive, fair way. That's my personal opinion.
Frank,
So-
I'm sorry. The thought process behind my question earlier was, as Gabe explained, Connersville city of Connersville is not yet prepared to really digest all this because looking at our expenditures and our budgets, but knowing that the county needs to do something real soon. That's why I thought if the city could open the door,
I know you're
so,
going with it.
right, so that the county can do what is needed. And that was the reason for my,
And John said, no, and I didn't think we could do it that way either. I think it's
think
all
so.
or,
Yeah,
it's all or nothing.
okay. And everybody has the same percent then?
Well, you know.
Well, no, it's
more.
broken down
You
like.
you get a bigger
Yeah.
share.
Oh, okay,
It's a
yes.
bigger share.
Correct, yes. 55%.
Right.
That's where that dollar amount comes in, where the city would get 437,000, county 417, and Glenwood a whopping $936.
Now, I do know that there are municipal entities within Fayette County that pays the payment in lieu of taxes. Even though they are city-owned, they pay money to the city as if it's property tax. It's called payment in lieu of taxes. Is there anything, well, you still don't have the money though. I start saying, is there any way for you to gain money that way, but no, you still can't.
The county
Get the money.
received, we got, what, 87% of our taxes were paid last year? The year before, there was like 85.
The year before that, they were down about 82 or 83%. They were up last year, I think it was 87%.
I mean, we would have to collect 100% of our taxes to, which no county, I'm sure does do. 87 probably isn't a bad number, but when we're as strapped as we are, we lose Visteon, and we lose all that we've lost, it's a significant hit. So like you're saying, there's a lot of,
And Mike, when you say 87%, let's clarify that for everyone. I don't think the city folks deal with these numbers the way we do. When we say we collected 87% of our taxes, and we collected 87% of the maximum allowed levy, and no one has ever collected 100% of their maximum levy. The DLGF really confuses people on these matters when it comes to tax questions. Every calculation they make is on the assumption that everyone pays 100% of their taxes, and that has never happened. So we automatically, just by habit, when we're doing budgets, figure we subtract 11% right off the top of what we think we're going to have to operate with. And briefly, Mike, I'd like to address Councilman Wolf's concern about the impact on wage earners. Jim, I've got some figures here I want to share with you and everyone in the room. Since we are talking about an income tax that would affect anyone who pays income taxes. So if your taxable adjusted gross income was $10,000 a year, the annual impact on you would be $25. If your adjusted gross income was $50,000, it would be $125 a year. And on to if your adjusted gross income was $200,000 a year, it would be $500 a year. So the list I've got here runs in increments from 10,000 all the way up to 200,000. So I don't know what the median income in this area is. It's probably in the neighborhood of 35,000. If it was 35,000, the annual impact of the public safety tax would be $87.50 a year. So it's not, I don't think it's something that would be noticeable on to a
Dale?
great degree, you know.
When they try these other taxes, they always say it's gonna cost you a pack of cigarettes a month or a cheeseburger a month. They've got about 3 or 4 of these, it's Coit, Lloyd, and wheel tax. You know, they've had these cheeseburgers and stuff, where they always try to sell these programs. It keeps adding up and adding up. And you know, there's gonna be a breaking point someplace.
Jim, I fully understand that. I've been a taxpayer my whole life. And I would be affected by this tax, it's the same as anyone else in the room. But you asked the question, and I wanted to present those numbers to you.
Yeah, but that's just one more tax added on to what they're burdened down with now. Every place you go, you pay tax. You pay tax on your gas, pay tax on your property, all kinds of excise taxes on your vehicles and stuff. It's just one more tax. Some of these people can't afford all these taxes. You save money in life, you can make it, but a lot of these people just struggling from week to week. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm not worried about me or you or some of these other people in here, but I'm talking about the people that can't afford it. It's not, but we're going right back to the thing as an unfair tax. And, there's no way around this. Either we do it or we don't do it. But I'm just thinking about the little taxpayer.
I think we all are. I mean, everybody's having money.
I just want to, I sat in this meeting yesterday, and the 1% tax, we didn't collect $286,000 last year because they were over the tax credit. That was the 1%. In the 2%, we never collected over $1.2 million because they were at the tax credit that we lost. We didn't collect it. In the 3%, we lost $2,200,000 because the industry was at the 3%. They didn't have to pay more than 3%. So it is going to affect us sometime, because once these people, we're going to keep cutting our budgets down and down and down. And they said in the 2%, that's where most of your rentals are. They're already at the cap, so they can't go up. So I just want to throw that out there to you.
So we lost, what, $4 million?
In the county, the Fayette County, the 1%, they lost $327,000 just in the 1%. In the they didn't lose, they didn't get to collect it. In the 2%, they didn't collect $2.3 million. And in the 3%, they didn't collect $2.3 million because it was above the property tax. This is what Purdue brought down the other day. These is brand new. It went from last year's figures.
So what you're saying is the county is losing about $5 million.
You lost 5.002.
We wouldn't be having this discussion.
And the city lost 4.9. We did not collect because it was above the tax credits.
I mean, we wouldn't be even having this discussion anyways.
So, listen, like I said, I don't know your budget. With 420,000 projected to collect from this, what would that do to your budget? Would that get you out of operating deficit?
Even it out.
It would come close to bringing us to the break-even point at the end of the year. Mind you, even though, while we, so far this year, we brought over $1.5 million from ourselves. Once we settle up at the end of the year, our actual deficit budgets have been running from a low of around $270,000 a year to a high of over $565,000 a year since 2011. And let's just use 2011 as a starting point. Since then, we have done nothing here at the county side, done nothing but cut budgets year over year. We've laid off a number of people. We've reduced expenses everywhere we know how, and we're to the point where we really don't have anywhere else to go. I think really if we had played it safe like the surrounding counties have, we'd have been having this discussion 2 or 3 years ago. It's really to the point now where if I were going to describe the county's financial health in simple terms, I would describe it as a cancer patient that waited too long to see a doctor. Mm-hmm. Now, they're still treatable, but the treatments are going to be more painful. And if you You know, I'm really glad that the city is not as dire as we are right now, but if you think that you're not going to be there soon, your chances are going to be as good as that third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark. I want to tell you that right now. Because it is coming soon. It's just caught up with us a little faster than it has with you. So I want you to think about that. I'm not pushing anybody around, Gabe, but I'm giving you a warning. This is coming up right behind you.
Well, that brings my next point. I can't believe I'm saying this. But is this tax rate high enough? Because it doesn't sound like you're going to even meet your.
It's gonna buy some
That's the
time.
most,
It's just gonna
That's
buy some
max.
time.
that's the max.
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 What's the, but we didn't max out the Lloyd or the Coy. Yeah,
And that's
correct?
what Jason was talking about, and I think what Frank was saying, it'd be better to have Jason here talk about that.
He has offered, I talked to him this afternoon, he has offered to come down if they're, you know, if the city is saying, adamantly saying, we're not going to pursue this, then there's no sense in wasting your time, our time, and his
Right.
time.
Correct.
But he has offered to come down and basically answer all your questions. He's the guru, okay? He can answer all your questions about rates, about the statutes, about the changes effective July 1st. What he told me today was that after July 1st, we'll have more flexibility. So he can answer all your questions.
He said that there was, he said that the 25% that we're talking about for the public safety tax, if there was that, you could figure 1% for something that we're not, the rate has gone up to 2.5 or something, that we're not taking advantage of, that would help us too, in addition to.
Now
I'm
that,
not sure what that one is.
now, if I'm not mistaken, all these taxes basically go combined into one, and then the two councils work together. So
Yes.
if we choose to raise those, that burden would also be picked up by the city council. We'll have to make a decision on it.
Yes.
So, you want a copy of our minute? Yeah. Will you excuse me while I excuse myself?
And that's what I think is good about the meetings that we're having, since the beginning of the year on, that we're collectively as a city and a county entity, sitting down talking about what we can and can't do, and what we're willing to do and not willing to do. You know, we don't want to see the city struggle with finances, and there's one resident of the city. I'm sure you don't want to see the county struggle, we don't want to see them struggle, because it impacts the residents themselves. You know, I can't say enough that none of us here are just jumping at the chance to raise taxes. Nobody is.
I
Harold
think-
asked me if I had the copy from yesterday.
You know, I got it,
You got it?
Jane had it,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
that's where I was reading those figures from.
Mike, what's the difference between the population count between the city and the county? Can you have that number?
It's
Yeah.
in here.
It's
in
in
here.
It's in this,
Right there.
it's in this.
In this,
Yeah.
Start those 13,400.
Last paragraph.
I didn't read all that, I've read all that.
Last paragraph.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, thank you.
He said, maybe, he's maybe gone down or up a little bit.
That's 2010 census, right? What this says.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that number's changed probably dramatically since 2010 because we've got a lot of people leaving the city and the county probably.
Yeah, I don't know if they base it on a year-to-year thing, if they just base it off the census.
I don't know. Just asked a question.
I think from my first night and what I've seen, I think we definitely gotta look at it, that's for sure. But also, I think we definitely have to get, from the city's perspective, we have to get the contracts in place first that we have, that we're working on. Because there, I think virtually every contract's up this year.
So
but
when do
the-
you, when's your budget? When do you guys do your budget?
Fall,
Okay, so you're about the same time as us.
we're a little later, yes.
Okay.
I think it's October.
Well, we'll be probably September this year, right? Yeah.
November
But-
1st is the deadline for the county to adopt their budget.
Right.
Did you have some, Mark?
Well, Dale was telling me today that ours has been postponed from
Right.
August now to after Labor Day, before we start.
Well, the city will be affected in the same way.
Yeah.
Mark. The auditor and the clerk treasurer will not get a budget workshop until August 24th this year as compared to July 23rd last year. So that's going to affect our budget hearings and that's going to put the city clerk treasurer also a full month behind this year.
City, when does yours have to be adopted? Ours is November 1st, you know when your date is?
It's usually the end of the year,
Okay.
but if they're changing things, who knows?
Mike, do you have, in this budget that you're getting a copy of, do you have a list of the budget cutting, of the things that you have done?
Well, no, it's, we've got our individual notes as we go through it, each of us does it differently. You know, we mark what we start with and what we end up with. I mean, we literally go through, anybody in council, correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody's asking for $5,000 in stamps for the year, can you get by with 4,500? Can you get by with, 2,000? We look at what they spent last year, what they spent this year. I mean, it gets to that level of detail that we're getting into. And cut here, cut there. I mean, now it's down. When I first came on the council, we were able to cut quite a bit of money out of the budget.
Yeah.
And last year, we struggled to try and find $50, $100.
Yeah.
Because you can't cut anymore. You can't take the paper away, you can't take your stamps away, and you can't take office supplies away. You can't take any more people away.
But you don't have like a list of real
I
items
could,
or things.
if you wanted to see what my markup, I'd be more than happy to share that with you.
Well,
I think that
I don't know.
information could be compiled.
Oh, from the year before?
I've got all my records clear back forever.
I think that
Well,
would be beneficial.
without, saying, but, what we've heard from the contract negotiations is, we all know it's not really salaries, and we're not really intent on getting rid of people. But what you are going to look at, and for the future, which plays into that 5-year and farther out, is perks and benefits and fringes. We do want people to have jobs, because we don't want to lose services, but, that.
Quit stealing our sheriff deputies.
Well,
Free country, they made their own decision.
that's a byproduct of what's happened years ago with salaries that, that none of us have anything to do with, And your contract's a little different, your salaries, for like your police department, obviously different than the sheriff's department, they do get a little bit better benefits and, than some of our people, so. I'm seeing county employees working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. We're giving them a $500 pay raise for a year. Go back to what Jim's saying, that's like a gallon of milk a week. That's nothing. You said?
They don't make much. My wife used to do one, they don't make much.
No. And I appreciate the fact that what they do for our county, the little respect they get and the little pay that they get, and they're willing to show up every day to do their job, and they do a good job. And I commend them for it. But we have to try to do something to try and stem this problem with that. So, I guess at this point, what's the desire of the body here to meet again? And I think if we do, the board works more than welcome to come, but I don't necessarily see a point for them to be here unless, Mary, you feel they should?
I just like them to be here just to listen.
Okay,
Yes.
so the boss has spoken. But if we want to, what's everybody's take on this?
Well,
I don't-
I
okay,
think
go
we
on.
should listen to what Jason has to say before we make a final decision. I don't think I've heard anything that suggests that we're just completely, we're not going to do it, period, point blank, no matter what. I think we need to get as much information as we can before we can make a really educated decision.
Okay. And I really like the idea of seeing, what you guys done, because we see
Right.
the budget now, but that doesn't really tell us the whole story.
Tell us
You know,
what you.
when you're on council, you know the story, you live it, but we don't know that story, so we have to learn it.
Right.
And I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and Connie, I'm sure Dale would too, to even go through our notes, what we've done, and why we did what we did. It'll help you understand the level of detail that we're getting down into when we're making some of these decisions.
A quick question, Mr. Baker. You might not answer this. Is there a way to put expiration dates on this?
Oh, you mean it goes away after so long?
That's it. To relook at it?
You already talking about the public safety tax?
Yes. Is there a way to make it temporary? If you can set an expiration date if you need it? It's just a question.
I put it on for 5 years and then it's
You have to reauthorize it.
Is that possible with this, or is this a permanent tax that's in place?
I think you can put an end date on a tax. Through all the readings I've done here over the last couple of weeks, I remember seeing the taxes, and they were indirectly stated, taxes go on indefinitely unless termination date is applied.
So we can set a termination date. Do you know how many counties surrounding us have the public safety tax?
Union County does, we went over to them, they enacted it last year. Franklin has it.
Do you know how many counties in Indiana have it?
I'm sorry.
That's probably an odd question. Do you know how many counties in Indiana have it? Have adopted it?
I think it's 40 some.
I think 47.
40,
so
yeah,
far.
40 something already done.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Is there,
I think that's what they said yesterday, was around 47. I'd be
Yeah,
curious.
that's right.
Smaller ones too.
Well, if you got a big population, you don't need it.
Right.
You got more to spread your loss on, you know.
Yes.
Smaller the county,
The harder it is.
the harder it is.
What Chad said though makes sense, and you know, if you do have to take, you know, action that you don't like, if you do put an end date on it, but,
I like that.
and like, for instance, Dale, you've talked about this, there's no sunshine date or law or what have you, associated with when the bonds are gonna be paid off, you know, the courthouse bonds. And so I think, what, 2023, is that when it's supposed to be paid?
I think it's
27.
27.
So, they discussed this Saturday in the county called councils, so that, kind of the reverse way, that you can not, for instance, take a tax off or reduce taxes if in fact, kind of like the pool bond that the city is paying for. You can't reduce taxes that would affect your ability to pay that off. And I know sometimes, you know, we've been close because of the KIBCAP, the edit funds, and have gone to that. But the state will not allow you to take that away if you've got a bond to pay for. And so the reverse way, if you want to put this public safety tax on, you could make a time that it would end. For instance, you know, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? There's a light at the end of the tunnel for the county when the courthouse bonds will have been paid for. So
Well, wait.
I've looked down that tunnel, and I'm telling you, that light at the end of the tunnel is the train on the track.
Our bond payment on courthouse.
Going the other way.
$649,000 a year,
when's that expire?
2027.
2027.
The commissioners pay 170 out of the edit plan, the balance of 479, I think, it comes out of our courthouse operating expenses in your budget.
Chad, let me implement that. The edit tax will go away then unless there is an edit project. If the edit project is, if we have another edit project, it stays in play.
And what's the edit tax percent?
I don't know exactly.
So you're not going to gain a full 2.5% if the edit tax goes away. So that number's going to be reduced overall.
The edit tax also goes toward, a percentage of it goes toward, that's the whole idea behind the capital plan for the edit.
My point, behind my question with setting a cap rate is, I don't like new taxes, I'll be honest. It hurts more than it helps. It's a temporary fix. Long-term solutions, they never work. If I could see a marketing plan for the city, how are we marketing our city? We need to be marketing our city, we need to be growing our city. That's how you increase your tax base. Imposing more taxes on the people who's already paying too much and who are gross income or median income on the state is significantly lower than everyone else, you're going to drive people away. I understand it's on 2.5 or 0.25%, But if you add up all the taxes you pay on your income tax, it's 2.5%.
You know,
2.5%. It adds up.
I
But I want to see a marketing plan. I want to see an EDG marketing plan. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see a marketing plan, how you plan on building the city and the county. Now we got the chamber back here. Everyone needs to be working together, building a marketing plan.
Now, Chad, we are doing that. I don't know where you come off on that at. We are
No, no,
doing that.
I want to see
That
it.
sound, I don't like the sound of that, okay? We are doing
I
that.
want to read it.
And,
I'm not willing to impose
You
a
know,
tax on someone unless we're.
so
we're building our
let's,
city.
let's be careful. I mean, it's nice to be able to grandstand in front of a TV. I like that.
I don't think you mean.
I felt, no, we are working on that.
Well, he wants to see it in writing.
I want to see it.
wants to see
I want
what
to
you're
know
doing.
marketing plan.
Can
I
you
wanna
share
see
that
it.
with us, Harold? That's all we're
That's
asking.
what we're
I
asking,
don't
yeah.
think he's saying that you're not
We've been
doing.
working with tourism, we've been working with EDG, we've been working with the chamber, we've been working with every organization there are to
But
do
how do
this.
we know that unless you actually present it to us?
And what's it
And
gain?
share it with us.
That's,
Well, I mean, we had a meeting yesterday where we went over this stuff, and only one, two,
It's during the day, I work, I have a full-time job.
I had to.
Well,
too.
but,
I
you know,
can't take-
but, you know, you make these comments, and right here it is.
That's not a marketing
That's
plan.
not a marketing
plan.
It's a sales pitch on taxes.
No, this here, if we would have collected our money, if the tax credit, see, you guys keep saying, well, we can take off that tax. The tax credits are gonna be there forever.
That's why we've got to have a marketing plan. We can't,
So once-
you can't fix that. Those numbers are set in stone.
So,
May I
Mayor?
say something?
Sir.
Ju- If you.
Okay, go on first.
Okay. I agree with your position that this is a short-term fix, okay? Nevertheless, the need is immediate. You are right, in my opinion, that the more money we need will come from an expanded tax base. The expanded tax base simply means more people, more businesses and everything that we're taxing.
And see values of homes when businesses
Exactly.
go up. That would be
Now,
great.
as to what you're talking about, a plan, okay? By virtue of my office, I sit on the EDG board. I can tell you that there isn't anybody sitting on their laurels. The reason I can, is anyone here tonight? Okay, I'm gonna speak for him, okay? If I misspeak, then I'll be held accountable. The fact of the matter is, the reason a lot of this stuff is secret, and I didn't understand it, okay, is because you don't tell people that XYZ and ABC and Acme, we've approached them about coming in here, okay? And I know
That's
what.
not a marketing plan, though.
Well,
I understand
my
that side.
point is, a marketing plan sells yourself, okay? We are one community out of, there are statistics. We're all fighting for a small slice of the pie. And fight is the exact word. And we have to be the firstest with the mostest with the bestest, so to speak. And all I'm saying is, I know what you're saying about a plan, something you can see that's concrete as to what we're doing and how we're moving forward. We are doing it, maybe it's absent being put on paper, but I do agree with you, this is short-term fix, we need a bigger tax base, period.
We do, and that's what my point was. It wasn't to slam anybody, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, we took it that way. The point was, we've got to market, we've got to develop, we've got to build. That's why, if anything, I'd like to see
I
it.
think that we are, but and I agree to 110%. That's not gonna happen in a year, that's not gonna happen in 2 years. So like
That's
Frank
why
says,
it's going to be short term.
this is an immediate thing. And if you put, and I like what you're going with the time frame on tax and look at it again, because let's say we do get company XYZ come in here and they fill that void that Visteon left. Do we need that tax? No. So I like that thought process of putting a timetable on it and reevaluating it and see where we're at, because if we pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, we're doing well, why saddle the burden on taxpayers? So, I mean, I like that
And
thing.
actually, it puts the burden back on developing Connersville, the
Right.
spiders, and that's what we need to develop Connersville.
We do.
because I think if you get on the chamber's website now, you'll see more. If you get on the tourism board website,
It's not rolled out
uh,
yet. It's not rolled out yet.
okay.
I'm not asking for anything to be rolled out, I just want to
You
see.
know, I mean, no, it's where you can see all this going, how you get up, they're getting ready to put a kiosk in, they're doing a lot of things. They are doing a lot of things. So there is a plan out
That's
there.
huge counties. but that was done by Humboldt. It states specifically that the tax can be rescinded. Whether, I don't know how it's done. If
You just set a rate, and anytime, you can set it to expire, there's no legal guidelines for expiration.
If what he said, yeah, but it can be rescinded, so.
Be better if we could put a specific date on that, because I know if it just says it can be rescinded, people are gonna,
Yeah. Well,
that's been said before, and people say, once.
my suggestion is that it be brought up year to year for a review, because you're not, if you set a date for 2 years out, you don't know if the need will still exist. So I understand what you're saying, and that would be my recommendation.
And that would help with public opinion too, because public opinion is, you can say, you're gonna say that the tax is gonna be rescinded, but the public opinion is, once it's there, it's always there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the year-to-year review is a good idea. Because it gets everybody to look at it again and see, is it working, is it not working?
And everybody knows, we both know, both bodies know where we stand as far as the finances, progress, or lack of progress.
Right.
Can somebody define the 1, the 2, and the 3? You talked about, was 3 industry,
Yeah.
3%? And the 2 was,
Farms.
Realms.
Farms.
and then,
Is the rental property in the 2%?
One's just regular houses,
Rentals
just
three.
regular houses.
That was 3.
It is three.
you know, another thing too is, you know, even if we do bring in industry, the fight that has to happen, you have to give them the tax abatements to get them here. And so,
I know a lot of people that think you're just giving away taxes, and basically, honestly, that's what you're doing. Nevertheless, I can't do business, and I'm not a businessman, but if I were, I can't do business with the same business tactics that were employed 50 years ago. You have to do it according to the norms of today. And if I have a piece of property worth $500,000, and he has one, but you're going to get a tax break for buying his, well, guess whose property's going to get sold? It's money out of the people's pockets, but in the long run, it's to the betterment.
I'd like to read you this. The fellow that lived in the city of Connersville, if his home is assessed at $150,000, he has a standard homestead deduction of $45,000, which brings it down to $105,000. He gets a 35% supplemental homestead, which brings it down to $36,750, or that's an addition that they take off. And then a mortgage deduction of $3,000. So now he's paying taxes on $65,250 instead of the $150,000 that we started out with. His tax rate is $5.23.85. His gross tax bill was $3,418. Then he gets a local option income tax credit of $860, which brings his tax bill down to $2,558. So we've already lost about $1,000 here, $900. And then he gets a 1% tax cap rate, which takes $1,500 off of it. His tax cap credit was $1,058. So he winds up, because of his tax cap being $1,500, he winds up paying $1,500 out of what originally was a $3,418 bill. And every one of these people get all these blow-it credits and everything. So we had a gross tax bill on the $75,000 house in Columbia Township at $355, and they only had to pay $265. Columbia Township, a $150,000 home, was $1,403, and he only had to pay $1,050. And Connersville City, that $75,000 house, their tax rate, gross tax bill was $864, and he only had to pay $647. So we're losing a lot of tax money before it ever gets to the treasurer's office, because they do get these tax credits on the local option income tax, along with that cap. But the guy with the $150,000 one was the only one that was over the tax cap. But they took $1,500 off of that.
Well, and in addition, on the Lowit tax, that amount comes back to the county and to the city. But the tax cap, nothing of that comes back to us. So
It's totally lost.
it's just totally lost. You give the taxpayer, the homeowner, that tax cap that they don't have to pay over, but the loss there does not come back to the city and the county. And that's why so many of the counties are in serious straits, because when those tax caps went in.
So when your appropriations say you're supposed to spend 15, but your tax caps say you're only gonna get 11, well, you're already $4 million short, because now you can't pay these bills up here.
Mike, can I say something? Yeah. Frank, I do agree that the need is urgent, and like everybody, nobody's for taxes. But as for me, I don't want to lose services. I mean, I like what we got, I want to keep what we got, expand upon that, but I do agree with what Chad said, and I think I'd be doing the people that we've met with, Connie, a disservice if I didn't speak up. The committee that I've been asked to be a part of with redeveloping downtown and businesses, and Jim and Connie, surely you guys can all echo the same thing, but a lot of the people that we're talking to is telling us that they feel like, and these are existing businesses, they feel like they don't know where to find help at, or they feel like the city and county could or should help them more. So like Chad said about, hey, we understand this tax is temporary, but we've got to develop our tax base. We've got to develop the businesses that are here. We've got to bring in new businesses. And Harold, I know you guys are working on this, but just like with this tax and deciding if we're going to pass it is urgent, I think just as much so it's urgent that we get a marketing plan together. I think we need to get these websites up and running. So if this tax needs to be done in the next month, then I really think we should put that on the agenda. You know, what is our deadlines? What's our marketing plan going to be? Who's working on these things? What businesses are out there? And I know Dan and the chamber, you all is doing some good things, but I think that needs to be rolled out and it needs to be communicated. I know recently we've had several new businesses open up. Those things ought to be talked about. Occasionally we have businesses close. Those things ought to be shared. You know, to kind of make sure that we're heading in the right track. You know, I know Penny's is opening up. I know we had a parts store open up on Grand. Burger King, different things like that. But Chad, you're exactly right. This is a Band-Aid, taxing people if we decide to do that. Well, we've got to band together as leaders and figure out how do we grow our city. You know, I'm one of these guys that Jim talked about that drives an hour a day. Why do I drive an hour a day? Because I love this city and I believe in it. I want to see it better, and I think we need to get moving in that direction.
The first thing we need to understand is our areas of responsibility. Individual councils are responsible for the finances of the county and the city, not the marketing plan. I know what you're saying. We have to do that, but our responsibility is the finances. We can't get off into the weeds. We gotta let the people like Gertrude do her job and Dan do his job, and you're developing a new website, Gertrude?
Yeah, we're
I mean, that's part of it.
rolling out.
EDG just, has done their website, there's stuff that they're doing, they're working together. Now, Dan, that's something new that's not been done in the past. You gotta give them time to make things happen. Territories or things take time to develop, and it's not gonna happen overnight. They're not gonna make things happen overnight. We're at a disadvantage. It's just starting to turn our way. Like Frank, I serve on the EDG board as well. We were at a disadvantage because of our location from the interstate. Well, now they're starting to open it up to be 11 miles from the interstate now, where they wanted like a mile or 2 miles from the interstate to look at you. So things are starting to happen from that perspective. Things move slow, unfortunately, not as fast as we would like. We get a couple good things, a couple good wins, and I agree. If something good happens, we need to be publicizing it. We need to be sharing it. Too much of the time, the paper is too much focused on the negative. We gain 300 jobs, we lose one, that'll be the splash across the front lines. We lost one job. Let's focus on the positive and build this community up, because there's too much negative BS.
Absolutely.
But you know, that's, we gotta stick within our wheelhouse, you know, I can't do the commissioner's job, and you can't do my job, and I can't do Gabe's job, and, you know, you guys, city council and board works, I respect each of you for what you do, I know you put a lot of time and a lot of effort in. And we all care about this community, like you, I drive quite a bit. You know, I've worked in Indianapolis most of my life since I've lived here, and, you know, 77 miles one way. I'm fortunate I can work from home, but not everybody has that option, there's a luxury in life.
I did all my driving in circles.
Yeah, because one of the things too on that note is the tourism board, the railroad, the Chamber of Commerce, the EDG, they're all starting to work together where there used to be, they didn't communicate, and they are doing that. So it is being marketed, and it is working out well. There's a lot of good things going on. Some of the things we can't talk about, you know, but there's a lot of good things going on in Fayette County right now.
But the people, Harold, needs to know that they need that data to boost morale, because right now I understand, most of this room signed a letter of confidentiality, I would presume.
Exactly.
But if you just, I've asked this for the last 2-3 years, just put an inch by inch piece in the paper that says, hey, this is what we're going for, this is what we're looking at least give them something to know that we're not, to somebody's point, sitting on our
Yeah,
laurels
but I
doing
think what
nothing.
happened with Carbon Motors, you know, we give them that we were going to build, we were going to employ 2,000 people. We had Connersville all hyped up and ready to go, and all of a sudden, it hit. So where did your morale go? That's the reason our morale got low. Is you keep building up morale and you keep bringing it back. You need to, when you start talking about something, you need to know it's going to happen.
We can't talk about like the sausage factory over in New Jersey that wants to relocate here because the people working in the sausage factory in New Jersey saying, hey, our jobs are on the line, what's going on here? They're gonna move the whole company, their morale is down. And we're getting jacked up because hey, it's gonna come here, and then it doesn't happen. And, you know, that's why these companies don't want this stuff disclosed.
That's not.
I understand
That's not where I'm going with that.
I
That's
know.
not the marketing plan. That's-
No,
That's after the marketing plan.
When you're talking about what Mike's talking about, two different things. I get it.
Oh, and I get it, and I see everyone working together, that's good, but we need to build a plan, and everyone needs to get on board with that plan.
Well, they have, whatever happened to the Fayette County, what's that paper they had, Fayette County
Master plan?
Master Plan. That's the master plan right there. The Fayette County Master Plan.
No, they should do it. When they redo that, 3-4 years.
So there is a plan out there.
Was that Ball State? How you did it?
So where can we access this plan? Where can we read it out?
It's on the Fayette County website.
What's that?
It's on the Fayette County website.
Just FayetteCounty.com?
Whatever the website is. for Fayette County.
So there is a plan out there.
You can talk to Bill McDaniel, and he can email it to you.
And there are some things being done on that. There's,
Yes.
one of the things was open river access, and
There's
hopefully should be
a lot
done
of good
soon.
things there.
Trails and things, so I mean, it's been moving in the right direction.
So are we in agreement that we want to meet in a month? We could either meet July 19th on Tuesday or July 20th, which is Wednesday. Yeah. We'll have Jason Seller from Humboldt here too.
What was the dates, 19th?
The 19th and the 20th, Tuesday or Wednesday.
But we used to
Wednesday
have
is typically a church night, so for kids, so.
Tuesday's best.
Okay.
July 11th, when Dale Munson will bring you the report on the EMS. It's going to be a joint meeting.
City and county,
Mayor.
city and county. you mean?
Yes.
Well, I have one at the same time then.
That's what they're
That's what I'm saying.
Just do the same thing.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, bring everybody together.
No, but he's saying address both things at the same meeting.
Do the EMS report in the joint meeting we're talking about.
Yeah, because
Well,
you both.
But he doesn't want them both
Okay.
open,
You what?
right?
No, it can be open.
Okay.
It can be open.
I think she's 1 night.
Okay, well, that's all right.
July 11th?
Yes.
Mike, there needs to be about a 15-day lead time if there's going to be any 10-day advertising for public hearings. You need 10 days to sell, plus the time gets prepared and to the newspaper. newspaper.
I think that'd be jumping the gun at this point.
Newspapers here.
I think we're still discussing, so I don't know if we need
But I was
that.
concerned about the October 1st deadline.
I know. I think let's talk about, see what we come up with in July, see what everybody's, feelings are, what the city's feelings are, and then we can, because we have to have it done before August 31st if we want to meet the October deadline.
Yeah, you're right, so we can get, just keep that in mind as you schedule.
6 o'clock?
It's easy to forget that.
That'd be fine.
6
Part
o'clock.
of time.
It's July 11, 6 o'clock.
Here. Got it.
Where, you want to do it here? We'll do it here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got more than I appreciate everybody being here, I appreciate the comments, it's good comments, and I enjoy these meetings, sitting together, talking about things that we can work together. I think it's good. I've not seen it since I've been serving on county council. I think it's a good thing, and it should show the public that we are concerned, we are trying to really make things better for the community as a whole. We're not thinking about individual selves, so I appreciate it. If there's nothing else from the body, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Adjourn.